is a really good question. This person is wondering about naltrexone and if it changes the taste of alcohol, and really what is it about this medication that causes it to help most people, including me, have control over alcohol when they drink. So I just want to speak from my own personal experience on this. Of course, I'm not a doctor, so this is not medical advice, but a couple things. So for me, naltrexone over time did start to change the taste of some alcoholic drinks for me. For example, red wine. I just didn't care for the taste of red wine anymore. In fact, when I drank red wine on naltrexone, all I could taste was a combination of alcohol and vinegar. It's like I lost the taste for the red wine. But this was something that was gradual. It didn't happen quickly, and it doesn't happen for everyone. And so I think back to your first question of, does naltrexone work to help people drink less simply because it changes the taste of alcohol? No, because I know this because for me, I was reducing my drinking long before the taste started to change for me. And the taste did not change for me with things like beer or white wine or champagne or cocktails, but I still over time had control over those drinks and was drinking moderately. The way I like to describe how naltrexone was working to help me have control over drinking and reduce my drinking over time and reduce my alcohol craving over time really was with the effect that I was having on naltrexone when I would drink on the medication, because I did the Sinclair Method protocol, which required me to take naltrexone 1 hour before drinking. So when I took this medication before drinking, what it did is it sat on receptors in my brain that would otherwise be getting a flood of endorphins and feel-good hormones when I drank, which is really what makes alcohol addictive. It's what makes us, have one drink and then we want 2, 3, 4, 5 drinks, because our brain is getting a ton of pleasure from the alcohol. So for me, when I was taking the naltrexone, it was just muting that pleasure a bit. I could still get buzzed, I could still get drunk, I could get intoxicated, but it wasn't as intoxicating or it wasn't as pleasurable. Like I said, it was kind of muted a little bit to where over time, the longer I was on the medication, the more I would just experience myself becoming more of a moderate drinker, where I would have 2, maybe 3 drinks and I would just feel satisfied after that. I wouldn't want more, simply because my brain wasn't getting this copious amount and just flood of pleasure, because naltrexone was blocking some of the rewarding effects from alcohol. One way that I like to describe regarding how it felt to have this control back over alcohol and be able to stop drinking after 1, 2, or 3 drinks is kind of like when you go out and you order an iced tea. You might have 1 iced tea, you might take a refill of it, you might even take a 3rd glass, but by the 3rd one, you're like, okay, I'm good on iced tea, I don't need any more. That's how I started to feel with regards to alcohol, where 1 or 2, maybe 3 drinks would be good, but after that, I wouldn't want any more, and so I would just stop drinking. And the way I like to put it is it's like, anything in life, if something isn't as pleasurable, you're gonna want to do it less often. And that was true for me with the alcohol. Like, alcohol just wasn't as rewarding or as pleasurable anymore. So over time, I drank less often and I drank a lower quantity when I was drinking. Now, this was not an overnight fix. It took time for me to get to the place of where I started on the method, where I was drinking, 7 days a week, binge drinking a lot of alcohol, to someone who, 7, 8 months into the treatment, I was drinking once or twice a month and totally had regained control over alcohol. I wasn't binge drinking or over drinking anymore. So it took time to get there, but little by little, each time I drank on the medication naltrexone, I started to notice that my craving or my thoughts or my compulsion to drink alcohol was starting to lessen over time. Then when I was drinking, I was having more control to where I could have a few drinks and I wouldn't want more than that. And I was having more and more alcohol-free days as well, which was really abnormal for me because I was a daily drinker for nearly 10 years. So even one alcohol-free day here and there was pretty rare for me and honestly pretty difficult to do, but it became easier and easier the longer I was on this treatment. A couple more things I want to say is that even though naltrexone was making the drinking experience less pleasurable for me, I personally actually liked to drink more on the medicine because I could still get some of the beneficial effects of the alcohol, a little bit of buzz, a little bit of relaxation, but it caused me to trust myself again. So it's like I could have my cake and eat it too, in a way, to where when I took naltrexone before, and this was particularly true the longer I was on the treatment, it wasn't an overnight fix, but I knew that if I took naltrexone, I was going to go out and have drinks, and maybe I would have 2, maybe 3 drinks, but I wouldn't drink more than that. And so it gave me the ability to really trust myself again when it came to alcohol, and know that I wasn't going to ever binge drink or drink to blackout anymore. So even though it wasn't as pleasurable, I actually liked it more because naltrexone was kind of quieting down that insane pleasure that I get from alcohol that would just cause me to chase the buzz all night long and binge drink and do all these things that I regretted. Another thing I want to say is that it was about so much more than just the medication that fixed my relationship with alcohol. I really believe naltrexone was the cornerstone for me. That was the foundation I needed to help my brain overcome this alcohol dependence. And I really don't think I would be where I am today without this medication treatment. But I often tell people that the medication and the treatment protocol was about 50% of it. And the other 50% of it was me learning to navigate life with a different relationship with alcohol. Me learning to become somebody who no longer relied on alcohol to cope, somebody who no longer went to bars and got drunk, really creating a life that didn't revolve so much around alcohol. And as someone who was drinking pretty much every day for nearly 10 years, this was a very ingrained habit that really touched all areas of my life, whether it was a good day, whether it was a bad day, whether I was at my nephew's birthday party, whether I was at a bar, whether I was at home. Every aspect of my life revolved around drinking. And so what naltrexone and the Sinclair Method did for me is it started to quiet the craving and the compulsion and the obsession to drink alcohol. And I started to see myself have this control again over alcohol, which actually I feel like gave me the internal space and mental clarity to do the inner work, to really heal from the reasons why I was drinking, to create new coping tools and find new ways to spend my time. I was a daily drinker, so that was something I did every single night. And so I was like, who am I if I'm not drinking 1 or 2 bottles of wine every night? Like, what do I even like to do outside of drinking alcohol? And that was a process of kind of rediscovering who I was as a person who wasn't a heavy drinker anymore. And so I don't want to discount this other half of really healing from alcohol use disorder, because I think sometimes people, and even I did this when I started on the medication, I was like, oh great, this pill's going to help me drink less. I thought it was just this like quick, simple fix. But it was about a lot more than that, because I didn't really grasp or realize how intertwined my alcohol use disorder was to every aspect of my life. And so I just wanted to mention that, because sometimes that's a criticism people have about naltrexone. They're like, yeah, right, a pill isn't going to help everything and all the reasons why you drink. And I really agree, but I don't think I would have been able to fully heal from my alcohol addiction without the medication, because it fixed my brain. It felt like my brain had been hijacked by the addiction. I didn't have control when I drank. I wanted to drink even though it was causing all these problems in my life. I was really kind of surrendering to the fact, like, maybe I'll just be a alcoholic for the rest of my life. And so the medication and the treatment really fixed that aspect of it, which I really feel like over time gave me the ability to heal from all the other reasons why I was drinking, and create new habits and create a new version of myself that didn't revolve around alcohol. And this is a gradual process. It took time. When people join our program, we typically tell them to give this treatment a year, simply because, changing these habits and lifestyles that we've been living in for years or decades take time. And that's true even with the help of a medication. But what I loved about this process is that it really was this gradual process of just coming into a different version of myself, letting go of habits and coping tools that weren't serving me, letting them go gradually, and then redeveloping different habits and coping tools that were going to become, part of this new version of myself. So I hope this answers your question. I hope this helps people understand what to expect with naltrexone and the Sinclair Method. All my videos on here are about it. You can also click the link in our profile for free resources and more information. And if you want to get started or get supported on the method, we have an awesome private online program that can guide you through it day by day, start to finish, with an awesome source of support of coaches and mentors and peers. So I hope that helps. Again, take care. Talk to you later. Bye.